What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we've got our Week 15 fantasy football running back starts and sits for every single matchup, so make sure to tune in. If you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear it in the comment section. Do you agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have? We will do our best to answer them all. But with that being said, let's get right into it. Today's video is brought to you guys by Birddogs. And look, I know we're all searching for that perfect pair of shorts or pants that offers the best style, the best comfort, the best bang for your buck. Well, guess what? That search is over because Birddogs offers all of that and so much more. If you're looking for shorts, they have a ton of options with activewear, casual wear, or even beachwear. On top of that, their pants have a selection of khakis, joggers, and sweatpants. So what are you waiting for? Regardless of the occasion of the season, get yourself the most stylish, the most comfortable pair of pants with a built-in liner from Birddogs.com. And if you use promo code ADP today, you'll get a free rope hat with your purchase. Again, that's Birddogs.com, code ADP, and you'll get a free rope hat with your purchase. Make sure to check out birddogs.com, link in the description. And we kick off Week 15, the start of the fantasy playoffs, on Thursday with the 49ers at the Seahawks. Now, from the 49ers side of things, this one is pretty simple. You're going to start Christian McCaffrey. He is a great fantasy running back option, top 5 play. Absolutely awesome game this last week versus the Bucs. I think he can duplicate that versus the Seahawks. He's one of the focal points, period, of this 49ers offense with them being banged up at quarterback. So I do like Christian McCaffrey a lot again. Then for the Seattle Seahawks, well, I will start Kenneth Walker if he plays. If he does not, then you're going to be looking at options like DJ Dallas, Travis Homer, and Tony Jones. Now, DJ Dallas didn't play this last week, so it was a combination of Travis Homer and Tony Jones. The Seahawks were kind of down versus the Panthers, so they didn't get a chance to run the football as much as they would like. But even when they did, Homer didn't look all that great, neither did Tony Jones. And I don't have all that much faith in DJ Dallas, so I'd only really take a chance on Kenneth Walker if he plays, if he's available. I think he's going to be a low-end running back 1, probably more so in the running back 2 conversation because the 49ers defense is pretty stout. And if he doesn't play, I'm not getting cute with any of these other Seattle running backs. And then for the 49ers, I'm sitting Jordan Mason. Yes, he got some okay usage this last week, but that's because the 49ers are blowing out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by that much. So for that reason, I don't think it'll be the case here. I have Jordan Mason as a sit. Then we go to the Colts at the Vikings. This one's pretty simple. You're going to start Jonathan Taylor. You're going to start Dalvin Cook. I have more faith in Jonathan Taylor in this game, honestly. He's looked better for the majority of the season. Dalvin Cook, if it wasn't for some opportune touchdowns, he would have a lot more pretty disastrous types of weeks. This last week included. I have him as somebody that's probably in the high-end running back 2, mid-level running back 2 type of discussion. He is going to be touchdown dependent, not getting enough volume, and just not being as efficient as in years prior. While for the Colts, Jonathan Taylor is the focal point of that offense. So I think regardless of the situation, he's going to get like 20-ish carries and 100 yards is very possible. You throw in a touchdown. I have him as a high-end running back 2 on the week. Moving on, Ravens at the Browns. I'm only going with the starters here, the primary guys, even though there are solid backup options. Now, for the Ravens, that means J.K. Dobbins. I don't think that Lamar Jackson will be playing this week again, which means the focal point will be the running backs. And in my opinion, J.K. Dobbins looked like the better option of the two, him and Gus Edwards. For that reason, I have Gus Edwards as a sit. To me, he's a decent stash. If something happens to J.K. Dobbins, he's not available. I prefer Dobbins in standard formats, but I think he can be a high-end running back too. Then for the Browns, similar situation. Nick Chubb, he kind of drops to this probably high-end running back 2 type of category for me. And it's not his fault, honestly. It's because of Deshaun Watson. With Deshaun Watson under center, this Browns offense hasn't been all that great. The rushing attack hasn't been able to duplicate what it was doing before with Jacoby Brissett because it seems like they're playing from behind. They aren't having these, chunk plays through the passing game, which then can set up the rushing attack. So I think that Nick Chubb and J.K. Dobbins kind of in that similar type of expectation in terms of fantasy rankings on the week. And then I'm sitting the two guys afterwards. Gus Edwards, again, I just think that it's J.K. Dobbins, then it's potentially rushing production from the quarterback, and then with Kareem Hunt, I think there's a big gap between him and Nick Chubb in terms of opportunities. Hunt isn't getting the pass catching work that we might have expected with Deshaun Watson under center, so to me, he is a sit. Then Dolphins at the Bills. I do have Raheem Mostert as a start, but that's primarily because Jeff Wilson got hurt in the game this last week. Now, if Jeff Wilson returns and plays in this matchup, I would be sitting both Mostert and Wilson because, we had one big Wilson week and then it kind of disappeared. We haven't been getting consistent usage from either one of these guys. The rushing attack has been struggling for the Dolphins. The Bills' tough matchup. I would not get cute here again, especially with the fact that these guys can vulture each other. I'm only starting Mostert if Wilson is out. And if so, Mostert is in the mid to low end running back 2 conversation. For the Bills, Devin Singletary, yes, I know it's been ugly these last couple of weeks, this last week included, but I think he can bounce back versus this pretty bad Dolphins defense. And he's still getting the bulk of the carries last week. We kind of saw that James Cook the week prior was, like we've said before, probably just a blip on the radar. It's not an indication of long-term usage, at least this season. So as far as I'm concerned, Singletary is still a starter for the Bills. He's still going to get the majority of opportunities. And I think this could be a high-scoring affair. Don't get me wrong, he is boom or bust. I don't love the running backs in this matchup. I'd much rather go with the wide receivers. But I do think Singletary does have the upside. To me, though, he is a low-end running back too. And then James Cook is a sit. Afterwards, Eagles at the Bears. I'm mainly looking at Miles Sanders here. I think this Bears defense is awful. I think the Eagles are going to be able to put up points at will versus them. I think Sanders has obviously high touchdown upside, just as long as he doesn't get vultured by Jalen Hurts. Now, you might be surprised to see David Montgomery as a sit here, considering he's probably the only viable option on this offense outside of Justin Fields for fantasy purposes. But this is my worry. The Eagles, they're a pretty stout defensive team, especially up front. And if this game goes how I envision, it's just going to be simply, Jalen Hurts versus the rushing of Justin Fields. I don't think Montgomery is going to get as much usage as we would like. Basically, you're going to be hoping and praying that he gets those 1-2 yard touchdowns. I just can't rely on that, especially again right now in the fantasy football playoffs. I just think this is going to be a negative game script for the Bears in terms of their running backs. And for that reason, I'm sitting David Montgomery. Then the Lions at the Jets. This one's a little bit tough here. I'm not going to lie. Jamal Williams, I have listed as a start. Not as confident as in weeks prior. Now, sure, he did get a lot of volume this last week. DeAndre Swift, pretty much what he did the week before, turned out to, again, be a blip on the radar. And we didn't see the usage. We didn't really see the success. So that has me worried. I have him back as a sit. Again, I'm just going to go back to what I said before. I need to see long-term sustained usage for Swift before I confidently put him in our starting lineups. Jamal Williams to me is a low-end running back too. And again, pretty touchdown dependent here. For the Jets, maybe they found something and we as fantasy managers found something in Zonovan Knight here to end the season. He, even with a healthy Michael Carter, got the bulk of the carries, the bulk of the usage, had some touchdown success. And then versus this awful Lions defense, I think that he is a solid play. I actually have him ranked higher than Jamal Williams on the week. I have him as a low to mid-level running back too, and then Michael Carter is a sit, just not getting enough carries as a rusher, and the pass catching work doesn't make up for it. Then Steelers at the Panthers. Najee Harris is a start. I have him as a mid to high end running back too. For the Panthers, I went back and forth on this one a lot. I kind of wanted to list Deonta Foreman as a sit, but I tend to believe that this is going to be a lower scoring game and that Foreman is going to see more opportunities. Maybe guys like Chuba Hubbard this last week versus Seattle got more play, got more usage because Foreman was, a little bit banged up heading into that game. Even though he did start, he did lead the team in carries. But maybe another week, kind of removed from that, Foreman is going to kind of return as the bell cow, and he narrowly missed on a couple of short touchdowns, so keep that in mind. I think he is a low-end running back too, though, because I am a little bit worried about, Chuba Hubbard still. If Hubbard gets 10 carries in this game, that's a lot of opportunities taken away from Deonta Foreman. I don't love the idea of that. And the Panthers offense can be very unpredictable, can just at times disappear in terms of scoring upside, which is why I think Deonta Foreman is such a risky option. But anytime you're getting around 20 carries, it's tough to sit that type of running back. So to me, he's only a standard type of play. I have him as a low-end running back 2, maybe even a high-end running back 3. Then Chiefs at the Texans. Here, I'm going to start Isaiah Pacheco. He is the main guy that I'm looking at for the Chiefs. I have him as a mid-level to high-end running back 2, considering the matchup versus the Texans. On paper, the Chiefs should be blowing out Houston and should be able to run on them to kind of ice the game. Now, you might be surprised, Jerick McKinnon, absolutely monster week in week 14 and honestly in the week prior, but I have him as a sit. The reason for that is if you look at his usage, well, he's not getting the rushing work, so he's primarily doing his damage as a pass catcher. And I just don't think you're going to see back-to-back weeks of him getting 9 targets with 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards receiving. To me, that is unsustainable. To me, that is unrealistic to expect that, especially versus the Texans here, where I don't think the Chiefs are going to have to pass all that much. But again, we'll see. I think McKinnon is way too risky. I wouldn't chase the points. And then Dameon Pierce is a start. He's primarily the only option the Texans have right now as far as offensive weapons. He can be boom or bust if the Chiefs go up big. Keep that in mind. But I do have him in the low end to mid-level running back 2 range. Then Falcons at the Saints. I'm only starting Alvin Kamara, and honestly here, Kamara has me worried. He has me scared, just infinitely so, because he has been absolutely awful pretty much this entire season, with the exception of a handful of games. At least he's been awful, this last month. It's been very, very bad. Just not getting the rushing utilization, not getting the pass catching work. The only salvageable thing here is he's going up against the Falcons defense that gives up a lot of yards to the opposing running backs. Mark Ingram is out for the season, so this is what I'm looking at. Kamara does have the upside, but honestly, I'm putting his range of outcomes as anywhere from a low-end running back 2 in PPR formats to a high-end running back 2, so a lot of variation. Keep that in mind. And then for the Falcons, I'm sitting Cordero Patterson, I'm sitting Tyler Algier. It's tough to get excited about 10 carries, 15, 10 to like 11, 12 carries a piece, and then potentially playing from behind and just splitting work. So to me, Patterson and Algier are both sits. Afterwards, Cowboys at the Jaguars. I'm starting both Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. I continue to say I prefer Ezekiel Elliott. Tony Pollard has been very good. He's had a lot of success as the pass-catching option, and I think it will continue here. I think this could be a high-scoring affair. I have Zeke as a high-end running back 2. I have Pollard as a low to mid-level running back 2. For the Jaguars, Travis Etienne has gone a little bit cold here these last couple of weeks, but he's still getting the usage. He's still getting the carries, the opportunities. So on paper, this is a solid play. I have him as a mid-level running back 2 on the week. Then Cardinals at the Broncos. Now, at the time of this recording, the Cardinals have yet to play, but James Conner, as long as he's healthy, he is a good start. I think he is a mid to high-end running back 2 on the week. He is one of the focal points of this Cardinals offense and the primary rusher for the team. For the Broncos, I'm sitting Latavius Murray. The fact that, the Broncos this last week put up north of 25 points, and Latavius Murray didn't really factor in all that much, should tell you all you need to know. He's just not reliable. The rushing attack isn't really there. So the Broncos offense, just all types of bad for the most part. I have Latavius Murray as a sit. Afterwards, Patriots at the Raiders. This one's pretty easy. I really like the running backs here, Ramondre Stevenson and Josh Jacobs. I think Ramondre Stevenson can be a top 10 running back on the week. This Raiders defense is awful. And then Josh Jacobs, I mean, he's been great all season long. Hopefully that finger injury that he sustained this last week versus the Rams isn't anything too serious. Patriots defense scares me a little bit here. I wouldn't be shocked if somehow the Patriots shut down, this Raiders offense. They know the coaching staff there obviously very well. Jacobs is one of the focal points of this team, but he's been elite all season long. You continue to play him. He's an RB1. Then Titans at the Chargers. Again, a game I love for running back purposes. Derrick Henry, set and forget. Same with Austin Eckler. He's a top 3 play in PPR formats. Henry a top 5 play in standard scoring leagues. Then Bengals at the Buccaneers. Joe Mixon, I will start him. Don't get scared away by the fact that Samaje Perine, vultured away a touchdown from him. He still didn't get nearly as many carries. Mixon is the guy when healthy. It's as simple as that. He is a high-end running back too for me. If he can get a touchdown there, he can break into the top 10 running back conversation. For the Bucs, I'm sitting both Rachaad White and Leonard Fournette. The reason being is, right now they're primarily getting their value because of what they're doing pass catching the football, like 5-6 receptions a game. What they're doing on the ground isn't all that impressive. And I feel like that pass catching category does have a lot of variability, which scares me. The rushing attack isn't good for the Bucs. They often find themselves down big, so they have to abandon the run. The offensive line has issues. So White and Fournette, to me, just at this point in time, when both are healthy, too big of risks, I'm sitting both of them. Then Giants at the Commanders. I'll start Saquon Barkley. I'll start Brian Robinson. For the Giants, Barkley this last week, we didn't know if he would play with his neck injury versus the Eagles. Ends up playing, again, had a touchdown vultured by Daniel Jones. Versus Washington, I think this is a better matchup. I think Barkley can have some success. We saw that just a couple weeks ago. For Washington, Brian Robinson has kind of emerged as the primary guy at this point in time. I have him as a low-end running back too. And then Antonio Gibson, I just don't think enough opportunities are being given to him. He is a sit for me. Afterwards, Rams at the Packers. I'm only really starting Aaron Jones here. When Aaron Jones is healthy, he's the primary guy. A.J. Dillon, in that case, becomes a sit for me. The Packers offense has kind of been up and down. We don't really know what to expect from the Rams defensively. I mean, they've been bad, but a little bit tough for me to have confidence at such a critical point in time to start A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. I'm only going with Aaron Jones. I have him as a high-end running back too. For the Rams, I do have Cam Akers as a sit. You might be surprised. He did find the end zone this last week, but look, Baker Mayfield's going to be the quarterback for the Rams to end out the season. And sure, he led a great comeback versus the Raiders, but I don't think the Packers are that bad. And I mean, prior to that comeback, the Rams weren't doing anything offensively, really. And I don't think that, I can confidently start Cam Akers just because of what I saw in 2 or 3 minutes in the final parts of that game in the fourth quarter. Without a touchdown, his day is pretty bad. Sure, he's getting like 10, 12 carries a game, but I just don't trust this Rams offense right now. I'm sitting Cam Akers. But with that, we wrap up our Week 15 fantasy football running back starts and sits for every single matchup. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section, did you agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have. We will do our best to answer them all. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.